After the Jedi victory over Freedom Nod at Onderon, the apprentices of the Dark Lord, Satal and Alima, escape to their home at the Empress Theta system and stage a coup against their own parents. They quickly gain control over their system, thanks to the Sith magic that they learn. From this point, they are referred to as the Crack. They attract the attention of the alliance between the Republic and the Jedi, who choose the Jedi Knights Ulik Keldroma and Nomi Sunrider as their commanders. And as the fight to liberate the Empress Theta system goes on, the Jedi Knight Exar Kun trains at Dantooine under the mentorship of Master Bodo Siost Baas. When we first meet Exar Kun, he's reading a Sith holocron without his master's permission. The artifact was kept secret because it contained the records of Nagasa Dao's power. In fact, it is said that this was the Tedrin holocron, from where Exar will later gain the knowledge to craft his double-bladed lightsaber, or at least where it is explained where did Exar Kun gain that knowledge in the first place. Regardless, one could believe that the curiosity of Exar Kun is ignited by a thirst for power after seeing what Nagasa Dao could do. But his motivations are never fully exposed, and I think that this is the fundamental problem with Exar Kun as a character, and that is his lack of clear motives. We never get to know anything about Exar Kun before his training. Where did he came from? What happened to his family? Why did Master Bodo took him as an apprentice? Did Exar Kun wanted to be a Jedi as a warrior or as a scholar? The only motive that Exar Kun somewhat shows later is an intention to conquer both light and dark sides of the Force, to prove himself that he is more powerful than any Jedi or Sith. While Exar Kun is sparring with his fellow students at Dantooine, he shows how easily he gets enraged. He even challenges Master Bodo to a duel, and as a result, both his teacher and his classmates knew right from that moment that he was not following the Jedi path. Actually, this scene made me think that Exar Kun shows a similar personality as Anakin. Both feel that their superiors are holding them down. Their pride and ambition on top of a natural talent with the lightsaber makes them think so high of themselves. Even more, both are the chosen. The only moment we get to know a little bit of how Exar Kun really feels inside is when he shows some level of loneliness while being reprimanded by his master Bodo Siosk. So one could say that rage, loneliness, and ambition were the seeds of the dark side within him. After his fight against his master and fellow students, Exar Kun decides to leave his teachings to follow his own path and to uncover the secrets of the Sith by himself. So, he travels to Onderon in order to study the Sith artifacts taken from the defeated Freedom Nod, but his inclination to the dark side is very clear to Jedi Master Arkajeth the second he meets Exar Kun. But even though the Jedi feel Exar Kun's inclination to the dark side, they don't really do anything to change his mind. Master Arca only restricts him direct access to the Sith artifacts, but not much else. He even says, and I quote, "A Jedi is free to come and go as he pleases and to follow the path he has chosen." A pair of Nat's remaining followers still on Onderon lead Exar Kun to the Moon Duxun, where the Tomb of Freedom Nat was. At the tomb, the spirit remainings of the Dark Lord say to Exar Kun that his path lies within the dark side, and Exar Kun hesitates a little bit and doesn't believe Freedom Nat right from the start. Regardless, he follows his instructions, and on his way out, he is attacked by the two cultists that led him to the tomb, but he quickly kills them in a burst of rage. Rage taking over control of his emotions and actions, and rage is the central emotion which Sithhood revolves around. If a Jedi, no matter how experienced, lets loose his rage, he will then plant the seed of the dark side, and every time he resorts to the power that comes from it, the dark side corruption will grow larger and stronger every time. A Jedi is as fallible as any man. From the scrolls that Freedom gave him, Exar Kun is able to travel to Korriban, the ancient Sith homeworld. But when he's on the planet, it doesn't make much sense to me, his hesitation when he faces the darkness, fueled by anger, that protects the planet. And I think that this is because of the lack of purpose of his actions, as I already said. Freedom Knot leads Exar Kun to a trap and puts him at the edge of death, forcing him to make a deal. This is the moment where Exar Kun turns to the dark side, definitely with no hope of turning back. Light years away, Odo senses that his former student is being dragged into the dark side and tries to help him, but he's too far to interfere in any effective way. Actually, this scene reminds me of Berserk, where the characters that find the Bailey are coerced to make a deal with the God Hand on the verge of desperation, anger, or death. Now tainted by the dark side, Exar Kun gains access to the knowledge inside the tombs of the ancient Dark Lords. He can now read Sith's language perfectly. It feels a little out of character that Exar Kun gets scared by these tests, especially because he was so cocky back in Dantooine. He even wants to appeal to the light side and his former master, but faces the reality that his deal cut him access to the light side of the Force completely. Following Freedom's directions, Exar Kun travels to Yavin 4 in search of the tomb of Nagasa Dao. At the Jungle Moon, he conquers the Masasi, a slave race formed by Nagasa Dao from his own Sith followers. Then, Exar Kun bonds with the amulet of Nagasa Dao, and this strengthens his connection to the dark side, thus incrementing his power by a large amount. Although he does not understand how it all works, he just learns on the fly. But all of this was a plan of Freedom Knot to access the necromantic knowledge of Nagasa Dao so that he could be reborn. But Exar Kun manages to kill him thanks to his new powers. Exar Kun then starts the construction of a series of temples that will be used to channel the dark side of the Force. This is the moment when he fully becomes a cookie-cut Sith that searches for power with the only clear objective of destroying the Republic and the Jedi because he sees them weak and obsolete. When Exar Kun and Ulik Keldroma finally meet, they fight, activating the Sith amulets that each had. Then, the spirit of the Dark Lord Marka Ragnos clicks them into his Sith prophecies. He names Exar Kun as the new Dark Lord of the Sith and Ulik as his apprentice. For me, it feels cheap that both Ulik and Exar Kun are just pawns of a greater scheme, and that most of their actions are reactive and destined to be. Both heel turns feel lackluster and rushed, but just for me. After regaining the title of the new Dark Lord of the Sith, Exar Kun begins his reaching Apostles, gaining followers rapidly. Although it does not make much sense to me why they are not able to sense the dark side within Exar Kun. Regardless, he is able to manipulate them. And things get a little ridiculous when Exar Kun kills Master Odo, and immediately the students enter the same room, and somehow he convinces them that Master Odo just passed away naturally, and that he gave him the title of Jedi Master and a rare Sith holocron. The fooled students follow Exar Kun back to Yavin 4, and after a little doubt and struggle, he converts them to the dark side by liberating the Sith holocron that he just stole from Master Odo. After the conversion, Exar Kun sends the possessed to kill their former masters, a task they accomplish for the most part. After that, he interrupts Ulik's trial and execution. How did he manage to get to Coruscant without any trouble? I don't know, let's just say he used Sith camouflage. There, Exar Kun completely takes control of the Senate and shows how immense his power is, although he still doesn't fully understand it. So why did he just not kill them all? I don't know, but he could have done it if he wanted to. And besides that, his fight with Master Vodo doesn't have any weight at all for me. I think that it's pretty boring because, although it's a battle between Master and a former student, their previous relation wasn't strong or meaningful in any way. So why should we, the readers, care? Vodo tells himself that he failed as a master to Exar, but he did not teach him that much. As we all know, Jedi Masters are more of a guides than actual teachers. So, for me, the highlight of the battle is more the reveal of the double-bladed lightsaber than the battle itself. And speaking of highlights, by far the most intense moment within this saga, at least for me, is when Exar Kun sends Kato and Alima to lure the Jedi's Days Diet, Shuanep Kulu, and Krultok into a trap where all of them end up vaporized instantly by a supernova that Alima herself caused using Nagasa Dao's forbidden knowledge. And Exar wanted that supernova so it would threaten the planet Ossus, forcing the Jedi and the Republic to evacuate, leaving behind precious artifacts and ancient records that Exar Kun wanted to rob and use them for something. It's never clear. However, Exar Kun didn't count on the defeat of Ulik at the sacking of Ossus, whom, after losing his connection to the Force, betrays him. With Ulik now regretting all he did, he gathers a large number of Jedi at Yavin 4 in an attempt to cleanse the entire moon and defeat a new Dark Lord. But Exar Kun pulls one last trick up his sleeve. He sacrifices all the Massassi in order to transcend into a Force spirit. The energies of both Sith ritual and the Jedi Wall of Light causes a large-scale fire that consumes the entire moon. Exar Kun succeeds in his ritual, but he's trapped from that moment in that temple, embraced with darkness and nothing else. And when Ulik comes back, Exar cries for help, but Ulik is unable to hear him due to his lost connection to the Force. Exar Kun, one of the most powerful Dark Lords, ends up alone in a slumber that will last thousands of years. And that's the main story of Exar Kun. If I'm honest, I think that he has a lot of wasted potential as a character. He feels, at least for me, kind of a shallow character, kind of, as I said before, cookie cut. And I think this is more of a consequence of the way he was conceived by his creator, Kevin Anderson, who introduced the character first in the books of the Jedi Academy series, which take place somewhere around the year 11 after the Battle of Yavin, around 4,000 years after the events that we already discussed. Whatever the case, Exar Kun is one of the most powerful Dark Lords of the Sith, but also he is a very simple character. But I also have hopes for him, especially considering his rescue by Disney as canon in the movie Solo. I think that Exar Kun has a future. Please tell me what you think of him. What future do you think that he has as a character? Do you think that he will appear somewhere in the future in some comic, some novel, maybe in the movies? Please let me know, because he's one of my favorite characters. Comment below what you think of him, if I got something wrong, or if you just want to start a conversation. Until next time.